Laura always believed monsters lurked in the shadows, until she discovered she had been sleeping beside one for years. The golden rays of the setting sun cast a warm glow over the city, but inside Amelia's heart, a storm raged. She stood in front of an apartment she hadn't visited in months, her fingers hesitating on the doorbell. Her heart pounded, torn between guilt and longing. 2 days from now, she would be walking down the aisle, promising her forever to Daniel, the man who had loved her unconditionally. Yet, here she was, standing at the door of her past. The door creaked open, and there he stood, Ryan. His piercing dark eyes met hers, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. His expression shifted from surprise to something unreadable. "You came," he finally said, stepping aside to let her in. Amelia stepped inside, inhaling the familiar scent of his cologne. Memories flooded back. Late-night conversations, whispered promises, and a love that had once consumed her. But it had been a love that could never last. Ryan had always been possessive, his love too intense, too demanding. That was why she had walked away, choosing Daniel's stability over Ryan's unpredictable passion. She trailed off, avoiding his gaze. Ryan closed the door, his eyes never leaving her face. "You just what?" Amelia swallowed hard. "I wanted to say goodbye. Properly." A dark shadow flickered across Ryan's face, but he forced a smile. "Goodbye." His voice was soft, but there was an edge to it. "Why does it sound like a betrayal when you say it?" She sighed, stepping closer. "I didn't come to hurt you, Ryan. I don't know. I guess I wanted closure." Ryan's jaw tightened. "Closure? Or did you come here because you still love me?" The room felt suffocating. Amelia knew she should leave, that this was dangerous. But the part of her that had once loved Ryan was still there, pulling her towards him. When he reached for her, she didn't resist. The moment his lips touched hers, the world outside ceased to exist. She let herself get lost in the passion of the moment, in the memories of what they once had. She convinced herself it was just a farewell, a final chapter before she turned the page. But she didn't see the darkness brewing in Ryan's eyes. Amelia lay in Ryan's arms, staring at the ceiling. The weight of what she had done crushed her chest, suffocating her. Guilt clawed at her heart. Daniel deserved better. What had she been thinking? Ryan traced lazy circles on her skin, a satisfied smile playing on his lips. "You can't marry him," he murmured. Amelia stiffened. "Ryan." "No," he said firmly, propping himself up on one elbow. "You love me. I felt it tonight. Tell me I'm wrong." She turned away. "It's not that simple. Daniel is a good man. I love him too." Ryan's face darkened. "You don't love him the way you love me." She sat up, pulling the sheets around her. "Ryan, I came here for closure. I made a mistake, but it doesn't change anything. I'm marrying Daniel." Ryan's fingers clenched into fists. The air between them turned cold. "So that's it. You sleep with me one last time and walk away like it meant nothing." Tears burned in Amelia's eyes. "I didn't mean to hurt you." Ryan let out a bitter laugh. "You think you can just leave me, just like that? After everything?" Fear curled in Amelia's stomach. Ryan was unpredictable. She had seen his temper before, but never like this. She reached for her clothes, trying to steady her voice. "I should go." Ryan stood abruptly, blocking her path. "No, Amelia, you're not leaving me, not for him." Her heart pounded. "Ryan, please don't do this." But Ryan's face twisted with rage, and Amelia knew she had made a fatal mistake. The silence was deafening. Amelia's breath came in short, panicked gasps as she backed away from Ryan. He was no longer the man she had once loved. His face was contorted with something dark and unrecognizable. "You think you can just use me and walk away?" He spat. "I won't let you go, Amelia." Terror gripped her. "Ryan, please." "I didn't." Before she could finish, he lunged. She screamed, but his hand clamped over her mouth, muffling her cries. His grip was like iron as he shoved her against the wall. "You were mine first," he growled. "And if I can't have you, no one will." She struggled, her nails digging into his skin, but he was too strong. The look in his eyes told her there was no reasoning with him. Desperate, she bit his hand. He yelped in pain, loosening his grip just enough for her to run. She bolted for the door, but he caught her, yanking her back with terrifying force. No, she screamed, but it was useless. The next thing she saw was a flash of silver. A knife, cold steel against her skin. And then, pain, agonizing, unbearable pain. The apartment was eerily quiet, except for the faint hum of the city outside. The walls, once filled with memories of passion and love, were now tainted with something far darker. Ryan stood over Amelia's lifeless body, his hands trembling. Blood pooled around her, staining the floor in a deep crimson. His breath came in ragged gasps as he dropped the knife, the reality of what he had done crashing down on him. She was gone. He had loved her. He had needed her. And now, he had destroyed the only woman he had ever truly wanted. A knock on the door made him jump. Panic surged through him. Amelia, a familiar voice called. Daniel's voice. Ryan's mind raced. He couldn't let anyone find out. But it was too late. The door creaked open, and Daniel stepped inside, his face morphing from confusion to horror. Amelia, his voice broke as he took in the scene before him. Ryan didn't think. He acted. The knife was still in his hand. One life had already been taken. What was one more?